able to spend a week, not saying you got to be in the house all day, every day, but don't go running out of the house just because it's too quiet in here. You need 1 week to try being in a silent space with just you and your consorts and your progeny, or whomever, and that's going to be hard for folks that have children and husbands that are like, wait a minute, baby, can we do that next week? Because it's the championships and the playoffs are coming up. You know what I'm saying? But they want you to try, because in that week of silence, you will get an opportunity to do a lot of thinking for yourself, which is not the same as being in prison. That's not a silence. Even though some people get thinking done in there, it's not that easy to get a lot of thinking done, because in prison you got to watch your back. And they also, speaking of prison, wanted me to mention this. For brothers that have been incarcerated and have become subjugated or violated as victims of men that are what you call stronger than them physically, or where they were ganged up on by several guys physically, or in some other way so-called punked into being somebody else's so-called punk or whatever, they wanted those brothers to understand clearly that there is nothing wrong with you. And I don't know if that's anybody in the room or just somebody that may be watching the tape. There is nothing wrong with you. Comprehend that in that instance, you were a victim and you had to go into whatever was your survival mode. What they want you to comprehend is you are not, under any circumstances, to feel like a punk that was victimized. If you want to look at someone as a so-called punk, they said that you should look at, and all brothers that are incarcerated need to start looking differently at the brothers that are subjugating other brothers. Because to them, there is something wrong with the man that feels like, you know, I'm big, bad, whoever, but I'm a man, but you can yet and still get your erection up hard enough to violate another man and then consider that man a punk, when you're the one that had your heart up for him. You found something so attractive about him that you were able to keep it up and keep raping him and whoever. They said those brothers are the ones that had the problem. There was something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with the brothers that became the victims of these brothers. There is no shame in being not strong enough physically to overcome somebody else that may have more muscle mass or more fighting skills or fighting experience than you. Do you understand that? Okay. Because there are a lot of brothers that are carrying a lot of, the orchestra said, a lot of shame about things that happened to them when they were coming up, when they were not the ones that were the problem. The brothers that victimized them, those are the punks. The guys that are running around forcing themselves on others in prisons, those are the biggest, I don't want to use the words fags, because they said if brothers that are into that, that's okay. But it needs to be a consenting situation. You understand? But the brother that forces himself on a smaller or weaker man, he is the punk in the scenario. You get that? Right. All right. And I know brothers are like, please change the subject. You know, brothers don't like discuss, especially any brother that's been there. They don't want to discuss it. They also want you to get into the barter and trade mentality. Too many of us are too reliant on the Federal Reserve note. It ain't money. And their thing is, they want to know what the heck happened to you guys. Their thing is, it's an embarrassment to them as the founders of mathematics and the inventors of all language and alphabet to have any of their progeny run around and say things like, well, I'm not that good at reading. I ain't that good at words. I'm not good at math. Their thing is, what do you mean you're not good at what your people invented? You are the masters of it. It's just dormant in you for now. All you need to do is reactivate your CTA, which other people call DNA, and bring your stuff forward. You are good at anything you as a melanated person does or do. Do you understand? They said we are the individuals that were spinning silk and weaving fabric and wearing clothes and building all kinds of fabulous things. Algebra is our stuff. Geometry is our stuff. Agriculture is our stuff. Basket weaving, pottery and bowl making, that's our stuff. What do you mean you don't know how to do anything and the white man won't give you a job? They said, make your own damn job. What is wrong with you? And I'm not talking to any individuals specifically. I'm just telling you what they told me to tell you. Everything came from you, and you can do everything and you can do anything. Decide in your week of silence what you can do and what you're about, and start there. And even if you may be a master woods carver or a master artist that can't seem to sell your wares because your people don't want to buy it and your people can't afford it, so they say, then sell it to other people's people. Because a lot of Europeans spend a lot of money on stuff that comes from people that look like you. So they say get back into the basket weaving, the bowl making, the moccasin making, because the shoe industry started with us. And the shoe lasting machine was invented by your brother. Why do we have to buy everything we have? When we were coming up, all of our children were taught things like how to sew, how to knit, how to crochet, how to make shoes, and now you don't know how to even survive without going to buy everything from Pink People. You should be making your own shoes, making your own clothes. And for those of you that can't, there are those of us that can. They basically said, we do not need the European anymore. We really never did, but that was a part of the dormancy. They needed us. The word is, they told me there are plenty of brothers in America that have farms and can't get anybody to help them run these farms. And they are growing food to feed our people who are not buying the food from them. And then it's like, oh, well, we can't get it because there are no trucks. They said, bull. There are a lot of young brothers that have little trucking companies, 2, 3 trucks. They can do cross-country because they got the sleepers in the truck. They can go get the food and bring it back. They're tired of your excuses. There are no excuses. Everything we need, we have it. There are jewelers that make jewelry that our people are not buying. Fine. Don't buy it. Sell it to somebody else. We have people that know how to make shoes that we're not buying. They're usually in the shoe repair business, and a lot of us won't even take shoes to repair because we're too busy running the Payless buying a new $5 pair. Instead of keeping the other brother alive by spending $5 to get the ones you got fixed. Do you comprehend what they're asking me to tell you? Is there anybody that has a question about it before I move on to the next thing? Now, getting back into the consorts. Right now, we are in what appears to be a dire state. And Carl and I were discussing this in my consort back there, OJ. We were discussing this. One of the things that they want our people to understand is this. The cognizant community is a very small group of people. And that does not mean that everyone else is not coming along. But we are what they call the first wave. It is our responsibility as the first wave to do the job of laying the foundation for those that are not trying to hear you right now.
Right.
Which I brought up yesterday. There are a lot of people that it's like, come on, Mama, you want to come to this? The sister's here. She's talking about some stuff. We need to go. It's like, no, I'm going to church. Or your children don't want to hear it. You got people that you want to bring that ain't coming. Leave them behind. They're following who? Psychopompus.
Mercury.
They're on their way to hell. And if you keep trying to bring them, you're going to get, it's like crabs in the barrel. Either they're going to drag you back into the barrel or you're going to get out the barrel and keep going. And when they finally get out, everything is already in place and they can just come. Do you understand? Lay the foundation. But these individuals that are your so-called consorts that are not ready, In the cognizant community, or what other people call conscious, but to me that's not the appropriate word, because conscious just means you're awake and your eyes are open. There are people out on the corner, you know, that are awake and their eyes are open, but if you try to start talking about anything, they don't understand what you're saying because they're not cognizant. They are not asleep physically, means they're not knocked out on the bed. Looking at me is conscious. Understanding me is cognizance, or comprehending me is cognizance. This community is going to have to get into what a lot of our people don't want to get into, which the Ancestor said